have already waited for so many minutes, but I can see Richie, the one we start with the word of prayer. And I've got Richie is the Deputy President of World Women Leading Change from Swaziland, from Eswatini. Deputy President Rudi, it's Richie, can you please?
Good afternoon and thank you. Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this afternoon. We thank you for the session that is about to commence. We place it before you, Lord, that you will lead us and you will guide us. My Lord and my Savior, we also thank you for fresh mercies that you gave us this morning. And for those that are still to join, Lord, we hope that their connectivity will allow. My Father, my God, guide all the presenters and let this session be a successful session. We ask all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, our Deputy President from Eswatini. Good afternoon. And in our midst, I just wanted to present to you Mr. Rudi Bunger. But before he speaks, I will ask, is it President Lesego here? I really wanted that he must highlight what is World Women Leading Change. I thank you, so that Rudi can be able to understand what actually who we are. I thank you very much. Over to you, President Lesego.
Good afternoon, good day, good morning, everyone. My name is President Lesego from World Youth Leading Change.
Rudi?
Yes.
Rudi, can you please mute a little bit so that we can hear some sound coming back from you?
From me. Okay, let me have a look.
Mama Debbie, can I proceed? Okay, the World Women Leading Change is a movement that empowers women entrepreneurs from various industrial sectors to lead change and give impact to their families, work field, community, and industry. The World Women Leading Change was founded by Professor Dr. Ayla Al-Jufri, a prominent businesswoman in real estate from Indonesia. We have different sectors within the World Women Leading Change. We have education, real estate, creative arts, wellness, infrastructure, women, kids, youth, agriculture, technology, hospitality, health, sports, prayer, media, marketing, and tourism. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mama Debbie.
Yeah, thank you so much. Is Nadia, are you also part of us? If you can just check with Nadia, most of the people are sending me messages stating that they are trying to go in, however, it's throwing them back. With my other gadget also, it gave me some problems. Thank you very much, President Lesego. Rudi, President Lesego is the Global President for Youth. That is the one. And in our midst also, we are having Philonoma, President Philonoma from Mozambique. She's the President of World Women Leading Change in Mozambique. We've got a President Julistina. President Julistina, she's from Indonesia. She's the President of World Women Leading Change in Indonesia. She is also running with President Rebecca Rudi on the infrastructure. President Rudi, I don't see her here. And I think President Lesego, if you can get hold of her. We see also President Keletso Victoria, she's from Botswana. President Keletso Victoria Tseleakhosi, she's the president for Kids Leading Change. We've got also Kids Leading Change. She's from Botswana. We've got our ambassador, Ambassador Matotsi Nechikundi. You can see that we've got an emblem of MangwanaGlobal. She is also the executive director of Mangwana. She is a guru in technology. We've got also Mpho Motapo, Ambassador Mpho Motapo. She is also an ambassador, but she is on peace mission in Lesotho. She is the ambassador of Light Leading Change. We've got Nonkulile Kokumalo. She is also our ambassador for World Women Leading Change. We've got Richie Dlamini, as I already said, she's our deputy president of World Women Leading Change from Eswatini. We used to call it Swaziland. I see Sarah Poto. Sarah Poto, she is the guru in environmental issues, very active on issues of environmental issues. She is also the ambassador of World Women Leading Change. I see Moronga Madishe. She's an engineer. She is also in built environment, and she is also the president of World Women Leading Change in infrastructure in South Africa. And those that I saw Ambassador Bitumelo Tuma Maputi. She is also our ambassador for World Women Leading Change. She's a motivator and she's a prayer warrior. She is also our associate. I see President Mankole Takisi. She is the president of World Women Leading Change in Lesotho. She is driving the education. She's in the education field. Others I'll really try that. Please, President Mankole. She is also the deputy president of World Women Leading Change in Africa. Then you'll try to note for them. Today and in this afternoon, I think now in Indonesia, it is, I don't know whether President Ayla, she is with us. We are also preparing for the Africa Dubai Summit. We are having Africa Dubai Summit that is starting on the 17th and 18th of March 2021. I was supposed to be, I don't see her here, Haddy Ndow from Gambia. Gambia, if anyone who knows about the story of Kunta Kinte, Haddy is my brother-in-law's niece. She's from Gambia, but I don't see her here. I'll try to get hold of her. But thank you very much, Rudi, for really, availing yourself this afternoon to come and share your experience with these women. Most of us, we are women. Hi, I think you are our men. And thank you for honoring this invitation. Good evening. Rudi, can you just, and how did it happen that you are in this, in South Africa, we call humane settlement, but in another world, they call it real estate. Tell us, who is Rudi? Thank you. Talk to us, Rudi, this evening. Is Rudi with us?
Yes, Mr. Rudi, please unmute yourself. You have muted.
Rudi,
Oh, unmute. Ah, okay. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I must have pressed the wrong button. Yeah, I was just saying that indeed uh, hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Rudi. We can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Yeah, I just hear strange noises on my end, but you know, I've been up for a while. Anyway, yeah, I, just to repeat, I'm absolutely awestruck by the quality of the people that you've managed to put together, and I'm absolutely delighted to be able to talk to you today. So yeah, well, a little bit. Just in introduction, is that I come out of a farming community, and my family were construction people, and so it was that I, followed along those lines and was fascinated by, what was how people built and so on. And in what I really want to talk about today is not me, is a little bit about the work that we're doing at the
Mr.
moment.
Rudi, may I
Yeah,
please interrupt you?
yes.
We can't hear you properly.
Oh,
The
hey.
sound is very, very low.
Okay, let me see if I can turn the volume up.
Put the
Yes. Okay. All right. Let me turn it up here. All right. There. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very much better. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, it was set very, very low here. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah. Well, shall I start again? And I think I'll get straight to it. Really, and what I want to talk about is the work that we're doing at the moment. In particular, the work around human settlements. And it is indeed a very exciting time for us. And we've, are in the process of implementing a whole number of wonderful changes in the environment, in particular the human settlement environment. So I thought what I'll do is I'll just tell you the way we see it, or the way I see it, okay? And that is that you have to balance three things. You have to balance economic factors, you have to imbalance social factors, and you have to balance environmental factors. And what you need to do is you need to find the harmony between those three when you're looking to indulging in real estate or human settlements, if I want to put it to you that way, because quite frankly, we're interested in the human part of the human settlements. Okay, and that at the end of the day is our primary focus. All right. And if I can just briefly, I could spend the whole day and I don't want to do that. I'll briefly touch on each of those and just explain what I mean by those. And those are really our three essential pillars that we use to arrive at a balanced development. And when I talk about development, I talk about large-scale human settlements, and that embraces all of those things. So in terms of affordability or economic factors, you have to immediately think in terms of affordability. Because the truth of the matter is that most of the people in South Africa, and in fact throughout Africa, find it very difficult to afford a home. All right, it's a formulation matter for us, really. For them, it's an affordability problem. They simply can't afford to spend the kind of money that people are currently requiring. Anyway, so it's very important then that we look at all the factors that contribute to the affordability, and in particular the inefficiencies in the current systems. So our focus then is to find systems that are highly functional and that optimize your ability to deliver an affordable product. So you have to look at the way you sell your properties, the way you put them on the market, and the different models, finance models, in terms of what you can offer to your customer at the end of the day. Now, when I talk about our customer, I'm talking about our humans. And they're we then have to think very clearly about what humans need to exist every day. And they need relatively simple things. They need, to be able to get their children to school safely. They need access to healthcare. They need access to utility services. They need access to everything that you need, your retail, your health and safety, your security. They need access to all of those things for them to be able to sustain themselves. And obviously, in terms of affordability, we then have to take all of those factors into account to make sure that we optimize, and by saving people money. And in this area, we've been very successful in optimizing those elements, and we can save our customer somewhere between 35 and 50% in optimizing their usage and their affordability. And then we also look at the finance models, okay, and find long-term agreements, and we look at rental, we look at lease to own, we look at various options and how we can make housing affordable and available to people, that don't earn huge amounts of money. For instance, you must be able to, the lowest income earners must be able to afford a home, even if it is quite small. There must be affordability in terms of a proper functioning unit. So that's affordability. Then in terms of the social facilities, well, obviously we need access to healthcare, we need schooling, we need community facilities, sports, recreation, all of those sort of things. And we as developers need to take responsibility to provide and to contribute towards those facilities. And so we have to factor them in to every single thing that we do. We have to make sure that we cater for them from a financial point of view and from a marketing and management point of view as well. Because without that, you can't produce long-term sustainable human settlement. And then in terms of the environmental, and I'll get back to to all of these, in terms of the environmental, we have to make sure that because the world is changing so rapidly and technology is hugely moving forward, but yet we lag behind in terms of how we use it in our everyday lives. So we need to look very hard at those factors and see how we can introduce that to optimize our engagement with environment. And it's not only about the frogs, it's about how we generate electricity, our power, our utilities. how we optimize all of those things and how we use them and how we generate healthy living. And when we put all of those things together, we come up with a formula at the end of the day that is dependent on how we balance those three pillars. Okay. So, for instance, it's no point in building something in the middle of the desert when nobody needs it. So we look very carefully at the statistics and the demographics of the people at the end of the day that we look to serve. And here I must say that the emphasis is on women and children. Okay, so I'm extremely happy to hear that I'm talking to a women's group here, because honestly, more and more women are making retail estate decisions, and in fact taking out the finance bonds, etc., to fund the acquisition of such housing opportunities. So, and then of course, they're the ones that live there, and we have to make it livable. And it's how we integrate these developments that will give you a sense of freedom and peace and tranquility and safety, and that you have access to everything that a human being needs to be able to sustain itself. Then we will find that we have sustainable long-term development, in particular in human settlements. And that's been our focus. And what we've done is that we've come up with the finance models. We've looked at all the behind the scenes IT technology that links everything together. We've looked at ways of financing these projects, and there are many different ways. And in particular, we've looked at creating easy, affordable packages where people can, for as little as 875 Rand a month, have access to a 30 square meter apartment that in 10 years' time they own. So, there are lots of things that we can do to make sure that, we all have humane habitation. What else is there to say? Well, the other thing, of course, that we look at is that we need to engage directly with local government, provincial government, with all tiers of government, so that we can manage local government at a local level, okay? And then thereby form proper partnerships with local authorities at a slightly higher level, where we can assist them to provide proper functioning municipal services, utilities, etc. And, obviously there are a huge number of business opportunities in all of this. And you need to look and come up with innovative ways of funding education, healthcare, etc. And it's actually not that difficult. It really isn't. And also we're finding that in this particular market, that if you give people service, they respond very positively. There are very low delinquency rates and things like that. Their financial recovery rates are far better than the medium to high income earning group. And as long as you provide them with a balanced and proper access to housing at a rate that makes perfect sense in terms of their earning ability, then we're winning. And that's what we believe. We have the formulation, and we'd love to share the business plans with you, so that we could spread our thought processes as far as possible. And I thank you for the opportunity. Hello.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much, Rudi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But we also actually wanted to take us through how you started. We can see that you actually talking about, when we come on human settlement, we must look at it in a very holistic approach.
Yeah.
However, just take us through, because some of us, we are novice. Some of us, we are still new in this kind of, of infrastructure. But, the founder of World Women Leading Change, I really don't know whether she is with us here, is President Ayla. She is all estate. She is in the real estate, and it happened that we went there in Indonesia. So just tell us, because here we are having people from diverse countries, and we've got also a minister from South Sudan. She is also with us here. We are having really expert, but you are having more experience and more knowledge. Can you please just share with us?
Okay. All right. Well, you really, in order to arrive at the kind of decisions that you need to make, so that you've got the ability to provide the objective, okay, and that is to create proper, sustainable settlement. You need to look very carefully at the statistics and the demographics of your environment, your immediate environment, and the environment slightly beyond that. So an area may be, you need to look at all the economic factors. For instance, you need to understand what drives the area. You need to understand why people want to be there. So you need to understand, it could be mining, it could be, people of simply congregating because they're thinking it's a place where they can find work, for instance. All of those things create a different opportunities. So you need to understand your demographic. You need to understand exactly who the people are that you are there to serve at the end of the day. Because if you don't understand who you're there to serve, then you might as well not do it. So that's very important, because at the end of the day, statistics drive the formulation of balancing those three elements that I spoke about earlier. You've got to balance the book, and you've got to make sure that for instance, that every family has at least 1.9 children. I know that's what the statistics say. So that drives the thinking behind how many schools you need, because again, the statistical analysis and the demographics tell you, what the age groups, the different percentages in the different age groups are. So you can very quickly then work out how many scholars you have in an area, and you need to make sure that you can provide for them. Okay, and we should include that in the formulation of the overall developmental plans. Okay, obviously size of development plays a huge role, but if it's very small, then at least you've got to be able to factor in a contribution to those kind of facilities, even if it's in a community way. Gauteng at the moment has a shortfall of 250 schools, which is mostly driven by government sector, and it falls behind by 20 every year. So we need to be more proactive and say, well, you know what, we are creating the environment. We need to take responsibility for the provision of proper social facilities. and unburden the government for the day from, having to provide those services which they clearly are not coping with. So we need to take care of those, and we need to include those in our formulation of how we make something sustainable and profitable and all of those things. So that's critical, that we get our demographic right, because you can very quickly then calculate how many square meters of schooling, medical, etc., that you need to provide, and cost it into the formulation. You also then need to factor in long term, because at the end of the day, we advocate that you operate and transfer after a period of time. But the transfer happens in such a way that you transfer it to the people who reside in the area, so that you can fund all the social facilities by the profitability of the development that it gives you. Okay, so in effect, the truth of the matter is that when you study the statistics and you apply all the right mathematical formula to the models that create a balanced development, they make inordinate amounts of money. And you just need to ensure that that process is seamless, and that the proper systems are in place, so that it generates responses to failures in the system, be they a circuit breaker that's broken, or a water pipe that's leaking, or something like that, so that you can respond effectively and quickly to any red flag events that you may have in your municipal environment. And by doing that, you're helping and assisting the end user in arriving at a position where they can afford to live in these places. And you want to improve your affordability, and by marketing that affordability to people who are in need of a proper balanced and mixed and integrated development, and to be housed within such areas, you need to get the word out there. And your group is fantastic in getting the word out there. Yeah, anyway, I digress there for a moment. So in terms of the practical day-to-day approach, what you then need to do is that you need to surround yourself with people who are experienced in the various fields, whether it be urban design, landscape architecture, all the professional services, and we are blessed in this country with having some of the best in the world. We honestly do. We've got wonderful professional people here who understand the built environment, and you should engage with them actively, and you will find them hugely supportive in any such initiatives. You will have challenges in the financial sectors, because you need to think outside the box in offering financial products to people that are in the lower income bracket. And here, let me tell you, the statistics tell us that only 10% of our population group qualifies for mortgage finance. What about the 90%? Well, what are we going to do? How do we get them housed? We can't always rely on government to say, well, here's a free house. That's crazy. That will bankrupt our government, and no wonder it is. It is bankrupt. Because it's simply not workable. Those plans are not workable. You need to address them at the core level. You need to make sure that they function highly effectively, and by doing so, you can improve the ability to give people of low income easy access and ownership of their own. We find that, for instance, delinquency rate, if I can just say to you, in the lower income group is something around 7%, whereas in the higher income group, it's 34%. So what does it tell you? That, and it tells you if you give somebody a proper house, proper environment, that they will respond positively towards you. And if you do all the little incremental savings and efficiencies that you can produce in providing, in marrying all these factors over a long period of time, where people have ownership of not only their own properties, but in terms of that make sure that their properties can function. For instance, the infrastructure, for instance, the social facilities, the healthcare, the education. If everybody has a tiny piece of this cake, then they will respond positively. And that's what we need to do. Okay, so it's a step-by-step approach from our point of view. Okay, we start off by looking at all the statistics in an area, then we create the formula, and then we populate this formula, and then we create the finance models, and we test the finance models. Then we look to see where it optimizes, okay, from a functional point of view, and then we look to see how we can make it where it suits our fundamental developmental philosophy. Okay, so it's not just about trying to make as much money as possible. It's about who do we serve and how do we best serve them. And you'll be surprised that this 90% is actually your strongest market. Hello? Somebody's flying here. Wonderful.
Hello.
Yes. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a minute. Okay, so, perhaps the best way to deal with this at some or other stage is to actually have, is to go through developmental models that we've created, okay, and to run through them physically. For instance, where we can show you the various aspects and how we develop them, and for instance, when I talk about statistics, that 70% of all road deaths are pedestrians. So it stands to reason that what you should be doing is that you should be designing and planning your human settlements in such a way that you divorce the human movement from the vehicle movement. And if you separate them with safe zones and with structures, whatever, then you can assist in creating a safe environment. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to do. You need to provide a safe and secure environment for your customer, your people at the end of the day. So you need to take all of those things into account, and the way that you then plan your development is then key to how that development functions in relationship to everything else around it. Okay, so you've got to integrate into your overall immediate environment and the larger environment. And if you start to integrate and you assist one another, then you are improving the ability of the people that you are serving to afford access to what we are trying to do. And we need to be a little flexible in terms of these models, and we need to trust that by giving proper service and an honest service that does not get tainted or can't be tinkered with, and that ensures that people get access to these facilities as quickly as possible. And then you will find that they're on your side, and you'll find very small delinquency rates. So you've got to understand that the bulk of the people are actually good people. I said it the other day, a small percentage of people muddy the water. It takes only a few people who have the sparkle to remedy the water. And you are the sparkle that I see, and I'm delighted. And I want you to please take up the challenge and do what is needed to ensure that you, who are the ones that we are here to serve, stand up and take and be noticed, because we need you, because you are honestly who we are here to serve. What more can I say?
Amazing. You can say amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Rudi. Rudi, you were saying that you stated that in Gauteng,
Yes.
there are about how many 3,000 schools, and but we are having a lot of abandoned schools here in
Yes.
Gauteng. Schools that I don't know whether what do we call them. If you go to the old townships, some of the schools are not being utilized. So what do you think? And even the shops, there are shops that are no longer being utilized, especially when you go to, like in the Sharpeville's, when you go to other areas here in Gauteng. What do you think, what can be done with those kind of old properties that we see?
Well, you see, history teaches us, and if we look back at how cities have developed over the years and over the centuries, they all go through periods of decay and periods of transition. And you need to recognize that there are cycles, and sometimes you may be on a downward cycle, and it will take intervention to ensure, because if you don't do anything about it, then it has no hope, and it will just carry on deteriorating. So what you need to do is you need to understand exactly what it is that the people in that community need. And then you need to look at that and say, well, why did these facilities not work? There may be that there was poor management. There may be lots of factors. It may not be the right thing for that particular area. It may not be the right thing. So what you need to do is you really need to look at those, and you need to embark on a renewal strategy. Okay, and that strategy is that you need to embrace, because often these kind of areas are legacies of old school, and dare I say it, apartheid planning. And that was fundamentally flawed, okay, because they didn't address the needs of the people, okay, and they were segregative in nature, okay. So a lot of those areas are failing because they weren't thought through properly. The model, the developmental model, doesn't suit what's going on there. And so we need to address, look at them and say, well, how do all of these things meet the demands that we need as people, and what we need as as people living in a humane environment where we can all afford to be there, or where we can afford to live with dignity, at very least. So sometimes those areas simply will never work, because they were artificially created. Then you need to say, well, but what do these areas need, and how do we make them grow? And by embracing new areas, for instance, industrialized hydroponic is a fantastic, a source of food production, job creation, etc. You need to say to yourself, well, how do I function within this environment, and how do I improve that ability? Um, the field of technology is fantastic. The solar is getting better and better. If you optimize your natural resources, gas, etc., if you reduce your footprint in terms of energy consumption, you can rapidly decrease the size of your infrastructure. If you rapidly increase the size of your infrastructure, you exponentially improve the affordability of that, um, of your people, okay, because it reduces the cost of the provision of those services dramatically. And if you manage that service correctly, you also dramatically improve the ability for that service to be provided on a consistent basis. And that's all you need to do. Um, and if you share at the end of the day, because it's inevitable, for instance, that people will eventually all drive electric cars. It's inevitable that everybody will eventually generate their own electricity. You need to embrace that, and you need to make sure that you can assist in the delivery of those systems. Because by putting that into place, and by giving a proper service, you will improve your ability to engage with your people in a way that they will support you. And if they share in that responsibility and share in that wealth, and you use that wealth that you generate to um, fund the educational facilities, the medical facilities, the sporting facilities in a functional way, you'll find that people will buy in to what you're trying to do. And at the end of the day, that is part and parcel of what we need to do to improve our sustainability and to promote the joy that we need from the people who we give a service to. If you create joy amongst your customer, and then you're winning. If you create discontent, I'm afraid to say we'll lose. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we can do the technical things right, and do them effectively and functionally, and make sure that um, the local people engage with it, and that you create the job opportunities, you create the sense of community, you make sure that people are safe and secure in their environments, and that they have access to what they need. um, you're winning. You're winning. There's no two ways about that. And it's lucrative. It gets embarrassingly lucrative So you have to give back. By giving it back, you're creating the sustainability that we need for those three things to function correctly. And that I'm talking about the affordability, the social, and the environmental factors. You're never going to stop me talking.
No, yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Rudi. Yeah, yes, I said that we are, I'm the president of a real estate here in Africa.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to check what project you have and which project can we actually partner with us. As I told you, we've got other social scientists here, we've got engineers here. Yes, that is what we have. What project do we have that you can say that come and let me show you the way we can do it together. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea, actually. I really do. I think that's a wonderful idea. And we need to engage, and see how we can do that and how we can best use each other's strengths, so that we can, yeah, I like that. I'm sure that we can find um, the win-win, or the right path in terms of how we engage, and how we can use each other's strengths so that we can make it successful. I see no problem. I'm sure we can engage. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really want to say thank you. I really wanted to check if President Mankole, if ever you want to say something, or what else do you want to, to pose to Rudi? How did we get Rudi? We got Rudi through Joshua, our only brother, our man, Mr. Mulubi. Mr. Mulubi, he is the one who really gave us that we should walk and try to partner with Mr. Rudi. So over to you, Mema Koletakisi, the president of World Women Leading Change in Lesotho.
Wow, amazing. As I said earlier, Your Excellencies, Dade Rudi, this has been more than an eye-opener, especially for the South African field. Those of us who are outside South Africa, our perspective has been broadened and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for your insights. And I think it positions us all to be able to be more focused and to be able to address issues in a more refined manner. As President Debbie had said earlier on, that often when we go through or drive through South Africa, we see abandoned educational facilities. And in our thinking, it was the impact of private education coming, the migration of people going over to Sandton and abandoning the townships. So you've put a new perspective to everything. What is focal to us now is how do we re-engineer and come up with some kind of reverse engineering and ensure that these dilapidated infrastructure actually become useful. And I think this is an excellent platform for us to have a conversation on, and to see that we ensure that we bring facilities for the environment, which the environment and industry which is needed. Maybe that particular school is not ideal for that particular environment with the change of time. Maybe one needs to transform that into a vocational institution, which will be more relevant for that environment. I don't know. I'm not a specialist in the field, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's always going to be different. Every situation is going to be different. Um, but you're right. You know, there's no need. There is a chronic shortage, that's for sure. But maybe the demographic of the area has changed. Um, and that leads to these sort of things. Can there be a regeneration? Absolutely. There always is, incidentally. Um, that areas go through transformation, and in particular, as densification happens, and densification happens naturally, um, and you get various people congregating because they for whatever reason they congregate in areas, and you need to service that. And if you then look how best you can use the existing infrastructure, and to reduce your financial footprint, by all means, it's got to be done. Do we need educational facilities and healthcare facilities? Oh, hell yes. Do we have the finance ability to provide the very best in the world? Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. We have fantastic skills locally. We can do the absolute. We can really be a shining light. We have such incredible skill sets amongst the people that we have here, and we have a population that, by and large, just want to live a normal life, and we got to be able to cater for that and provide for them. So a regeneration of an area, you sometimes have to stimulate it, and in fact you inevitably have to inject funding into it to stimulate development. If you look at downtown Johannesburg, there's lots of stimulation. Obviously, lately 2020 has been a strange kind of a year in terms of how people move about and relate to one another. But some sectors still had phenomenal growth. Remax had their best year ever in 2020, and they service, sort of lower to medium end people in the real estate market who engage in the real estate market, whether they be buyers or sellers. So you need to understand the times and the environment that you live in, and you need to respond to it. And you need to respond and use all the technical tools that you have. And sure, you need to take a long-term view. You can't take a short-term view. You have to be able to look at least a 15-year term, preferably a 20-year term. But your customer, your homeowner, etc., you give them a 10-year program in which they can start to fund the acquisition of their own property, and in 10 years it's theirs. That must be a fundamental, and you have to achieve those kind of results, and that are in an affordable way. Then
Yeah,
you're
thank you,
winning.
Rudi. Yeah, thank you, Rudi. This is just a challenge to my sisters out there in World
Yeah.
Women Leading Change, because Rudi's talking about 10 to 15 years or 20. I remember 20, 25 years ago when we were playing the Monopoly. I was back in Botswana. And in the Monopoly game, Elof Street was the most expensive street. And a couple of weeks ago, months ago, I drove past Elof Street, and a lot has changed. So I think this has been interesting. I think our sisters are in a better level now, that we should be thinking not even 10 years, but 20, 25 years for
Yes.
transition. And we should get prepared. We should think in the future, and we should start regenerating, because I have a friend in London who was a medical doctor and married to a Polish woman. And all the Polish friends and cousins had come to London to be plumbers. But suddenly, Europe opened up. And then suddenly the Britons realized that they don't have plumbers. And he stopped his medical practitioner, and he was making more money in plumbing than he was as a medical doctor. So times have changed, sisters. Women leading change. Let us move with the change. There's a big gap in opening in South Africa, and some of us in the sub-Sahara, we shouldn't try and lie to ourselves. What happens in South Africa trickles to Botswana, trickles to Lesotho, trickles to Eswatini, and Namibia will get it first before us. So I just want to applaud Her Excellency President Debbie for bringing such minds to the platform. And I think after this, we'll be able to re-engage and think and plan in a better forum. Your Excellency Debbie, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, President Bankole. Yes, because we've been really on this platform more than an hour, and seeing that we are preparing to do our presentation for this Africa Dubai Summit. And we really want to thank everyone who's been in this platform. We were expecting even the young girl from Gambia, as I've already said, not Zambia, Gambia. Haddy, Ndow. She is also in the human settlement, real estate, and mostly in the hotels. However, she said in Gambia, it's Mother's Day, and they were having some challenges with connectivity. But thank you so much, President Mankole. As I've already alluded, we got Rudi through Bratso Sol Mulubi. We really want to thank you, my brother. Because of time, we said that we really want to be at least an hour in this platform. And me and Rudi, we've been in this platform, I think, from 15 minutes to 3. And really, we really want to thank you all who have participated this evening. And I will ask President Philonoma to pray for us. President Philonoma, she is from Mozambique. Rudi, you can see that the bevy of beauties are really coming to your office. Huh? Rudi will be coming in that office of yours so that you can really take us through. I've already been with Mr. Sol Mulubi Komoto. I've been to his office, and we are coming to your office, Rudi. And thank you so much. Thank you. Can I ask President from Mozambique, President Philonoma from Mozambique?
Yes,
pray for
President
us?
Debbie.
Yes.
Thank
We are
you,
not going
thank you
to
all of you. Thank you to our presenter, Mr. Rudi, for teaching us. Thank you all of you. I wish you have a good trip to Dubai, and God bless you, all of you, and you will come quickly. We will see how the meeting will go on. So I'm here in Mozambique. It's all things okay. Good day for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. President Lesego, over to you. Really thank you for everyone who participated today, especially our Excellency Honorable Aya Warile. She's from South Sudan. She's the Minister of Women, Kids, and Human Settlement, because human settlement, we as women, we are the first people to really to make people to settle in our bodies. Rudi, your mom carried you. All of you, your mom became you settled in your mom's body. So we really want to thank you, our Honorable Aya Warile. Thank you so much, everyone who is here. I cannot see others. Aya, thank you, Minister. And can we ask, we've got our international song that we can play. Thank you, and can we say good night and good evening and good morning? Thank you.
Okay, good night. Or good evening.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
President, some of you, I cannot see you properly. My gadget cannot access the webinar. I thank you. Good evening. Matotsi, are you winning?
Sure, Ma'am Debbie.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Are you winning with the song?
Okay, I'm just gonna share now.
Do it anyway. Thank you very much. Rudi, thank you. Will President Rebecca and President, she will contact you, and also myself. I always make follow-ups. I always phone, but however, President Rebecca and President Lesego and President Matotsi will phone you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because I know you probably you are having a jet lag, because you just came from Ghana this morning. And thank you for availing yourself.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. And I'm honored and I'm humbled. Thank you. Thank you.
The pleasure is here, sir. If you cannot do it, Matotsi.
Is it play? It's not playing.
Not. We are just seeing screens. It's not.
Yeah. No, it's fine. We can say thank you very much.
Okay.
Good evening and good night. Yes. I can't see.
Debbie, you're already in Dubai? Princess Debbie, are you already in Dubai?
No, not yet. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Oh,
bye-bye.
bye-bye, President Dolphin. I cannot see here.